Yo, what's up guys, and welcome to another video. Now, this is actually going to be quite a different video, quite a weird video that I've never actually done before. And that video is going to be about my camera settings, why I use them, what they're good for, and all that stuff. I've been seeing a lot of people wanting to know my camera settings and stuff, and I never actually know them by default, so like I never actually respond to them, so sorry guys. But I have them like right now, and I'm gonna show them on the screen right now actually. I actually got them from EXO a while back when we played a lot of private matches. It actually works really well in 1v1, so you can get a really good view of the opponent, and you can get quite good flicks from it. But yeah, field of view 108, distance 280, height 110, angle -3, stiffness 0.40, swivel speed 4.40, and transition speed is 1. But yeah, that's actually not like, I actually thought it was quite a decent camera. Like everyone was surprised about my FOV that I had it on 108, because apparently a lot of people do like 106 or 1010. But yeah, I really like these camera settings. I haven't changed them in a long time. Yeah, we're gonna do some games with these camera settings, and I'll just go over how good they are and what they're actually useful for. Now, before we get into the games, I'm gonna show my video settings real quick, because a lot of people want to know that as well. They're quite decent. Like, they're not actually good. Performance, quality, high quality shaders, bloom, dynamic shadows, transparent goalposts, performance, render quality, and yeah, custom render detail. So it's not the best, but you know, it works for me. I think it's really cool, and it looks quite nice in my opinion. Alright, we got the game versus some season 2 Grand Champ and season 7 Grand Champ. Interesting. Yeah, I can see from the view it's quite low, and it turns back decent, like decent range when you're going fast, which is really what I like about it, because when you're going fast and dribbling in ones, you really want to have that. And it's also not only made for ones, it's also made for threes, because I also play 3v3s. So yeah, it's so easy to flick and everything, and get good control of the ball. I like, you can see every part of the field basically if you do it correctly with these camera settings. Like, they're not too high up, they're not too low or anything. In my opinion, they're perfect. And honestly, I definitely do recommend these camera settings to you guys, but the most of the people that ask for camera settings change camera settings so often, so they don't actually have like a strong bond when they play Rocket League. So like, you see these players switch camera settings so often, and like they end up playing really badly because of it. Of course, you can find some good settings that you like and fits you, but changing it too often will not help you at all. Just gotta put it that. That was not good. That's fine. Oh. See, this is what happens when you're not in 1v1s. Those like tiny little dribbles actually work. Just like, look at that. Look at that. What? Hello? What is this? It's twos. That's what it is. Now, some people might be wondering, awesome, doesn't your flag just kind of remove your ability to see? And in my opinion, at the beginning, I thought so. Like not this season when I actually started using the Icelandic flag and Swedish flag. Like back on PS4, I thought, like I used to use flags back then, but then I just thought, this is really actually cancelling my my view of the ball and stuff. But that's really like down to camera settings. Yes, it can be really disruptive if you have bad camera settings, but with these camera settings, it's totally fine. Like there's no issue with it. So, like when you're driving forwards, it goes back so far. Like it goes back to the point where like it's almost at your spoilers. So, like it doesn't actually matter too much for me. But yes, with some camera settings, it will definitely be an issue. Not all though, not all. My advice with camera settings is stick to what you feel comfortable with. If you stop enjoying them, or quote unquote, and playing well with them, just keep playing. Like if you play it for about 2 weeks and then you feel like, yeah, I'm not playing that well, don't change the camera settings. Change something in your gameplay. It's not always the camera settings fault, which a lot of people think, yeah, I'm playing quite bad, I'll change camera settings up. And eventually they get camera settings that work for them, or quote unquote work for them, but they actually just like get a good game versus someone, and it's not actually the camera doing the work for them. But yeah, camera settings really depend on what kind of playlist you play a lot. In ones, you'd rather have it a bit closer, but enough to see where the opponent is. If he's shadowing incorrectly, you should be able to see him. If he's shadowing right behind the ball, as he should be, then, I mean, nobody is actually going to see it unless you have, like, gainers camera settings. If you have seen that, Nitro Gainer, like, his camera settings are so weird. But if you're playing twos, you probably want a mix of 3v3 camera settings and 1v1 camera settings. 3v3, you should probably have it a bit further pulled back, so sort of like this, but not when it's in supersonic mode, and you should have it a tiny bit higher in my opinion. So yeah, a bit further behind and a bit higher if you want to play 3v3, because then you have more view of the entire field. But in my opinion, because I play a lot of playlists, like so randomly, like I play 1v1s, I play 2v2s and 3v3s like all equally, I think this really fits for me. Of course my dog got a bark. It's a great time in the video. Actually, before we get into another game, I'm going to show you why I think you should have the camera settings a bit further behind when you're playing 3v3. Because basically, when you're playing 3v3 or 1v1s, when you go supersonic, it pulls back, right? And if you're playing 3v3s and you're going in the air a lot, see, you're going supersonic, but the camera settings doesn't actually change. So, like, you gotta do it automatically by actually changing the camera settings themselves instead of what's it called? Instead of the swivel speed. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, that's my thought on it. So if you're playing 3v3, then change your camera a bit further behind and maybe a bit higher, maybe just keep it at this, but then you have more view of the entire field. Plus, you have more view and you get cleaner hits on playing 3v3 because it's a bit further behind. And you see more and you see your opponents and what they're challenging, how fast they're challenging and stuff like that. Of course, it's not actually included to everyone, of course. Some people play with like insanely close camera settings. Like I play with a guy called Pethy and he uses like absolutely insane camera settings. Like they're so close to the car. They're sort of like Flames camera settings. It's a semi-pro player. So yeah. Those camera settings can vary. Like some camera settings might not work for you. So keep that in mind. If you try Squishy Muffin's camera settings, they might not work for you. But if you try Fairy Peak's camera settings, they might work for you. It really depends on what kind of player you are and your play style. If you're a bit more defensive, you probably want it a bit closer to your car, because you can still see the entire field anyway. If you want better hits and like if you're really good at shots, then yes, you should also have close camera settings, but close camera settings, not shots. However, that's not gonna help you in the entire thing of 3v3s. So good advice to you guys is just find the camera settings you like. Maybe mix the pros up, like if you see maybe Scrub Killer's or Jesse's camera settings, maybe mix those two together and see what you feel about it. If you think it should be a bit closer, then change that. It's just don't copy someone's camera settings because they might not work for you, and most of the time they don't. But I've heard people that use my camera settings and then they say, "Oh, I went up this rank" and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it might actually work for you, but then again, it might not. So, in my opinion, try out different camera settings as much as you can, and when you actually got a camera setting that you like, stick with it for a long time. I've never had any moments using these camera settings where I thought, yeah, I don't like these camera settings anymore, because I've liked these camera settings like for so many months now, like extremely long time, when people switch it like every game, or some people do. So yeah, find those camera settings that makes you feel like, yeah, I don't want to change for another 6 months. Because that's how I am feeling with these camera settings. I can see both of the players. That's why I didn't. That's why I have these camera settings. Like I could see both players just looking at this middle of the screen. Some people couldn't actually see that with different camera settings. But yeah, this whole point of the video is to explain why I use these camera settings, what are the positives, and maybe what are the negatives. In my opinion, there's no actual negatives to this. Maybe only for 3v3, and that might be an issue sometimes when you're going for an aerial. This might not be the best camera settings for threes. Like if you're threes main, this is probably not the settings for you, because I mainly made this for 1v1s, and or I didn't make it, like it's mainly made for 1v1s rather. Now another important factor is actually that different cars actually do matter. So when you're playing Batmobile, the camera settings will actually feel so much different. Like they might not fit every car, so adjust the camera settings as you go with different cars. If you're like a player that uses different cars all the time, then I really like, it's so difficult to find good settings for a variety of different cars. If you have like long cars, then it should be no problem, but if you use like Octane and then Batmobile 2, it probably is going to be an issue for camera settings if you don't main one playlist. If you don't main one playlist, then yeah, as I said, it's going to be really difficult for you. Of course, these different cars, you can do different things better with them. Like Batmobile, you can probably flick better with them. Whilst the Octane, it probably has better ground shots, for an example. So there's a lot to take in for camera settings and what kind of playstyle you have. So just look around in replay, see what kind of playstyle you have, and see what fits you the most. Like you look at these with Batmobile, and honestly, like it's not that bad, but because it's so like long, you can see how close it is to my actual screen. Like you can see it's incredibly close, and I don't actually think it fits for this car. It's because like it's so heavy, it's so big, and like it's one of the biggest cars and longest cars in the game. So like I don't think these camera settings fit for Batmobile. I used to have camera settings that did fit the Batmobile. That's why I played it a lot, because it just felt so perfect. But these camera settings do not fit the Batmobile. As you can see, like it just doesn't feel correct, you know? It doesn't feel comfortable. Maybe it does for you, but for me, I just don't feel really comfortable with these camera settings with Batmobile. So yeah, that's my point. Camera settings can differ with different cars and just different playstyles. That's gonna be the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I tried to keep the video as short as possible and like explain as much as I could in a short amount of time, and I think we did good. But since it's such a requested video, I really hope you guys liked the video. If you did, like the video, subscribe, and leave a nice comment. But I'll see you guys next time. Peace.